BBC News with Sue Montgomery. There are fresh accounts of civilian casualties and severe damage inflicted by Russia on the 9th day of its war against Ukraine. The mayor of the besieged Black Sea port of Mariupol said his city was simply being destroyed. It's still enduring shelling, as are the northern cities of Chernihiv and Kharkiv. Stiff Ukrainian resistance in some places has hampered Russian progress. A presidential advisor and the mayor both said an advance had been halted on another port, Mykolaiv. Lise Doucette is in Kiev.
Russia has 15 times more combat power than Ukraine, but Ukraine's surface air missiles, its aircraft, are still largely intact after 9 days of war, which again is raising the question about President Putin's strategy in this war. What are they trying to accomplish? And of course, when people look at Ukraine's air power, they're saying, well, why don't they use what they have to attack that convoy, which is still hovering ominously on the edge of the city?
The director of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, has told an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council that he is ready to travel to Ukraine to secure the safety of its nuclear sites. Ukraine's largest nuclear power station, the Zaporizhzhia plant, was shelled and captured by Russian forces on Thursday night. Neda Tofik reports.
Rafael Grossi, the director of the IAEA, told the council that no safety systems had been compromised from a technical point of view, but he insisted that there was nothing normal about the military being in charge of the sites and that the installations were under constant danger from threats and accidents. Mr. Grossi has been receiving regular updates from the operators of the Zaporizhzhia plant, and he said his proposal to send a mission was still being evaluated by Ukrainian and Russian officials.
Ukraine's president has strongly criticised NATO's decision to turn down Kiev's request for a no-fly zone to protect the country's skies from Russian warplanes and missiles. Calling Friday's NATO summit weak and confused, Volodymyr Zelensky said the alliance had given a green light for Russian bombing missions. But the NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg repeated that the alliance had a duty to prevent the war in Ukraine from spreading to other nations. The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said Russian forces are using increasingly brutal methods in Ukraine, including attacking civilian populations.
I can't tell you how long this will go on. I can't tell you how long it will take. But the idea that Russia can subjugate to its will 45 million people who are ardently fighting for their future and their freedom, that does not involve Russia having its thumb on Ukraine, that tells you a lot.
BBC News. The cost of gas on wholesale markets in Europe has surged to record levels due to continuing uncertainty over supplies from Russia. Europe gets about 40% of its gas from Russia. There are fears that sanctions on Moscow or countermeasures by Moscow could interrupt supplies. The invasion of Ukraine has now seen a majority of people in Sweden and Finland coming out in favour of NATO membership, despite Russia's threats of retaliation if they join the alliance. Support has also grown in Finland, which has a long border with Russia. From that border, here is John Simpson.
Over the last 10-20 years, relations between Finland and Russia have been really good. There's been absolutely no problem whatsoever. And then, just in the days immediately before the actual invasion of Ukraine, the mere thought that Finland might be interested in joining NATO caused the Russian Foreign Ministry to issue quite a kind of blood-curdling threat to Finland and also to Sweden to say, if you do anything like this, there could be really serious military consequences.
More international media organisations are suspending operations in Russia, where new rules threaten journalists with prison sentences of up to 15 years. Bloomberg announced it was halting news gathering inside Russia. CNN and Canada's CBC said they would stop broadcasting in the country. Earlier, the BBC announced it was temporarily suspending the work of its news journalists in Russia. The US Supreme Court has reinstated the death penalty for Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, who was convicted of the deadly 2013 Boston Marathon bomb attack. Its ruling overturns a Court of Appeal decision that vacated his death sentence. BBC News.